Thank you for joining me on TMI Tuesday as we look at EDO GUBER 2020, the party primaries perspective. And joining me on this discussion, starting from my immediate left, I have a constitutional lawyer, Notary Public of Nigeria, former senior special assistant on legal matters to Edo State government. He's no one else but Barrister Adams Aliyu. Thanks for coming, Adams.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you, moderator.
And next, I have a public affairs analyst, and he is no one but Osaze, Comrade Osaze Stanley. Thanks for coming, Comrade
Thank
Stanley.
you very much for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Let's start with you, Adams Aliyu. We have been following the trend over political issues in Edo State as we race towards Edo GUBER 2020. Now, there are these issues where persons are saying that the political gladiators seem to be taking up the tide to raise up acrimony that would be at the disadvantage point of the Edo people rather than helping the polity. What do you make of this development in Edo State?
Well, as a constitutional lawyer, I will submit via the constitutional provisions that the issue of election, gubernatorial election, if you like, is a constitutional issue. It's specified in the Constitution, and Edo 2020 GUBER will not be different. This is not the first time we are having gubernatorial elections in this country. If you look at it, in the Constitution, right from section 176 to 196, they are all devoted to the position of governor. The governor is very strategic. That is why. About 20 sections, 176 to 196. 177 talks of qualification, governor, Nigerian citizen, belong to a political party, meaning that you don't have provision for independent candidates, and your party must feel you will be qualified, educated, political, etc. Then, I'm obliged to quote a March 2020 decision of the Supreme Court by Justice of the Supreme Court, Olabode Rose Vival. He said, and I quote, in the case of APC versus Engineer Suleiman Aloyi Pere, 2020, Olabode Rose Vival, Justice of the Supreme Court, said, and I quote, candidates are expected to obtain expression of interest and nomination forms. They are expected to present their certificates for verification and appear before a screening commission. This is the stage at which the domestic or internal affairs of a political party, they are not justiciable. That is to say, the courts will not dabble into how a member of a party is screened or why a member was not cleared by the party to contest the primaries. Put in another way, I'm still quoting Justice Bode Rose Vival after 2020. Before a member of a party is cleared, the party has the power to disqualify their member and is answerable to no one, including the courts. A dissatisfied member's remedy is to leave the party and seek his political ambitions somewhere else. Quote, Olabode Rose Vival, 2020.
Okay, but you are saying this because issues are already on the ground over the APC feud in Edo State, and some are saying that this interest, these issues pertaining Edo APC, seems to be gathered by personal interest rather than the interest of the people.
What is a political party? Political party is a group of people with common aspiration. They form association in order to gain power. And if you look at political party in the Constitution, right from section 221 to 229, devoted to political parties. And no group, no other group can canvass for candidates to vote except political party. Ipso facto, INEC will not deal with individuals. They deal with the registered political parties.
Okay, but should it not be done peacefully rather than
That's
raising
what I'm saying.
acrimony like what we have within the party?
What you are saying now, it is an internal matter. These are people in the same party. No one has defected to another party. So it's always expected. It's an internal misunderstanding. So there's no fear that the fury, the fireworks, etc.
Okay.
It is just expected because in a society there must be some who command and others who obey. It is predicated on majority rule. And in law, we will say quod omnes tangis, ab omnibus approbator. That is to say, what concerns all will be decided by all. The people will decide.
Okay, now let's look at the gazette that was signed by the governor on banning political and social gatherings, looking at the COVID-19 rules to that. What's your perception of it? Because some say that the signing of that gazette by the governor was done by out of political bias. Do you concur to that?
But the truth of the matter is that we'll first of all understand something. As an individual and as a sensible personality in the society, or most especially those who happens to be lawyer, understand something, which is a Latin terminology that states, Nemo judes in cassessoire, no man shall be a judge in his own case. Audio terram paten, you must hear directly from the party first before judging. I don't think it has gotten to the level of citing these constitutional matters because nobody is arguing that somebody should not be screened or anybody should not be screened as a political party. It is the role. But the point is this. Now, what is the goal and objective of those persons who are trying to push a particular system on the other? Now, you cannot be a judge in a case that you are part of. Just like us, a son sitting with us now.
No, not yet.
Okay, sorry.
I'm a notary.
It's a constitutional lawyer,
yes, as a constitutional lawyer sitting with us now, and maybe by peradventure happens to be a judge. And I find myself having a direct contact with his doctor. Then at the end of the day, maybe because of the fact that he is not comfortable with me and he happens to be a judge, he will say, bring that man to my court. On getting to the court, he has the right whatsoever to say, as a judge, please, I sentence him to so and so years imprisonment because of the fact that he's not happy with me. So in this case, in addressing the issue that borders on political concern, those who have stake should be very, very mindful of what they do in the process.
Okay.
That's one. I'll go to the Gazette.
Yes.
But I just want to make this clear. Then secondly, let's look at the historical antecedent of politics in Edo State. Both the PDP or APC, as the case may be, from 1999 to 2003, the former governor of Edo State, Lucky Benedion, got his nomination through an indirect primaries. Then in his second tenure, there was a primary, but he got a right to first refusal, as the case may be, and he concluded his tenure. Adam Soshomole came in through the process of indirect primaries. He got his first tenure, then the second tenure, right to first refusal, he got his second tenure.
But there's this argument that all this is not happening to the governor at present because he's not carrying the party leaders along.
Good. I will get to that. Then thirdly, Governor Godwin Obaseki came into power in his first tenure through delegate or indirect primaries. But because of the fact that there exists a little political imbroglio, lack of satisfaction from the minds of some selected politicians from within the purview of the party, then I decided to say, no, we are going to change the narrative. It is very obvious that the constitution of the APC is very explicit when it gets for direct, indirect primaries and consensus. But again, the constitution stated in section 31, omnibus, states that the party must update its register every 6 months. As we speak, we don't have a comprehensive register of the All Progressive Congress anywhere Saturday. Now, if you are going to conduct, let's even leave the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's look at the real issue now. Although we must put it into cognizance because the health of the people is paramount. Now, if you look at it critically, there is no updated register. Are you going to conduct a direct primary in an environment where you have a no updated register? Okay, you just believe that anybody can just come with APC party card that is available everywhere. Go to Ansa Quarter, you have it. We just go, I'm a member of APC, you say vote. So the governor on his own, to me, I believe that the governor is not afraid of any kind of primaries. But what he's afraid of is the rigging. That is the vulnerability of this
Comrade Stanley, if I can get you correctly, yes, if I can, yes, because that's actually the question I asked you.
No.
Are you saying all of this fears about the process being rigged culminated into the reason why the governor signed that gazette?
No. As far as we are concerned, the whole of us are aware of the fact that there exists a COVID-19 pandemic around the world, including Edo State. In fact, in Nigeria, we have gotten a fair share as far as state distribution of this pandemic is concerned. And there is a speculation, or not speculation, there is a fact on ground that from on the 28th, the pandemic in itself would witness a very high peak, or the surge, as the case may be. Now, what do you expect from a sensible personality? It's for us to ensure that the health of the people is protected. So it is on that basis that the governor came up with such a gazette. Now, outside the politics, if the governor said, even if you want to organize a direct primaries, let's go to a place that is designated for this particular activity, where social distance will be adhered to. At the end of the day, the virus in itself cannot have access to the people the way it is today. Whether you like it or not, we have not gotten to the peak of a well-organized testing capacity. That is why, because we agree to the fact that this particular pandemic is like a disease that some persons might have a contact with it, but it shows no symptoms. Now, if peradventure, you now allow it the way they want it to be, no steady coordination. Let's say in Ward 2, Bubaka local government election is done there, Ward 1, Ward this. How do you expect the strength of the health official to cut across the 3 senatorial district of Edo State? Okay. So the only panacea to address it is for this kind of gazette to come in, so that all the health practitioners will be centered in a specific location, adhering strictly to the nitty-gritties of or the principles, the case may be, as established by those who are in charge. Then lastly, sir, without due respect, if anybody tells you that politicians are angry with this governor, those persons are not saying the truth. They are being economical. We know quite well that the only problem that this government is facing in Edo State is purely lack of political gratification, disbursement of honorarium, which is normal in politics. But at least to some extent, as of today, we have not seen anywhere in the Edo State where this is in the history of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Check. This is the only administration in the whole state that have ruled for 3 years plus without a single protest from any workers, including health official, Nigerian Labour Congress, as the case may be. Go and verify. Okay. It has never happened before. Okay. Are we now saying that we want to substitute progress for stomach infrastructure? Are we now saying that we want to substitute infrastructure development for stomach infrastructure?
Thank you.
So we must ensure that when doing things, let us do it rightly, regardless of our interest in the political system.
Adam Saliu, let's look at this epidemiological study critically, where it's been predicted that there's going to be a very high peak of the transmission of coronavirus in the state at June 20th, and correlating it with the signing of the gazette by the governor or banning political gathering, social gathering beyond 20, and observing the COVID-19 rules. Don't you see this as a right time to nip the infections from spreading, as predicted by that study?
Well, that prediction is mala fide. That is to say, it is in bad faith. It is not bona fide, it's not in good faith, because it is presumptuous, speculative. I will say, constitutional lawyer, I'm guided by the Constitution. The provisions of election is encapsulated in the powers of INEC. The 3rd schedule, part 1, paragraph F, section 15, gives everything about INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission. It is to register political parties, monitor parties, activities, etc. Organize election for president, vice presidents, governor, deputy governor, National Assembly, apart from the government election. And for the avoidance of doubt and ease of reference, I'm tempted to quote a Supreme Court case that is relevant. This was the case of Honorable Peter Akpatasu versus Honorable Kabiru Ajoto. In 2019, Justice of the Supreme Court, Kekere Eku, said emphatically and authoritatively, and I quote, any primary election conducted by the state executive of a party is held to be illegal. This is also in tandem with the case of MNK versus PDP in 2012, the same thing with Yar'Adua and Yadoma in 2015. These are cases adjudicated upon by the Supreme Court.
Thank you. I agree with you that all of this really, but we've not come to that. We've not come to that. We've not come to that. Yes, we've not come to that. You made mention of the fact that is speculative, the epidemiological study that said that it's going to peak, the infections will peak at June 28th. You said it's speculative, presumptive. Now, in terms of the present realities of the pandemic, are you saying that should be washed away and allow political gatherings beyond the number as stipulated by the COVID-19 rules?
In good faith, we should always wait to cross the bridge when we get there. It is in bad faith to be presumptive, prejudicial, speculative, and always crying wolf when there is none. There is a legal matter, constitutional matter. The appropriate body knows remedial proceedings to take care of. It is not good to be judgmental and prejudicial, presumptive, parochial in anticipation.
Okay, what's your reaction to that, Comrade Stanley?
Appropriate planning is the basic sine qua non for economic development. If we have to go by the ideology of our fathers sitting here, Nigeria will never be developed. Do you know why? He said we should forget about planning. We should, yes, in that. Sir, let me submit, sir. No, you said we should. Okay, sir. Sorry, with all due respect. Yes, with all due respect. But the truth is this: if we have to liken your statement, okay. Thank you very, sir. If you want to go, sir.
Okay, let him present.
If you want to liken your statement to the reality on the ground, he said we should wait to cross the bridge. Now, if you look at what the coronavirus did to develop economy that has this one of the best health facilities in the world, e.g. Italy, we will agree to the fact that if God is helping Africa, there is need for us to take some necessary precaution. So because of the fact that that particular study might be speculative, or as the case may be, we should jettison it. The question is the judge in itself who delivered the judgment at the Supreme Court immune to coronavirus? The answer is no. No individual whatsoever is immune. In fact, if it is by riches, if it is by competencies and ability, I think the Speaker of Edo State House of Assembly, who was the index case in Edo State, ought not to have contracted the virus. So the point is this: let us understand clearly that coronavirus is not a child's play. Regardless of what we think or our personal ambition politically, as the case may be. Now, do you know the problem we are having in politics? Politicians tend to look at the future without looking at the ability to get to that particular place, because you are not in charge of your life. A politician is thinking of the next election, while the average citizen is thinking or talking about the future and the development of the future. That is why you see a politician will say, election will be going on today. They will tell you, if what you did now, you do what you are doing, and if it happens in 2023, we will not accept it. The question is, are you sure you get to 2023?
Okay, thank you, Comrade.
So, let me submit.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to say something?
Okay, now it's understood that some of these issues, argument over the mode of primary, is already in the law court, and there is already suspension of political activities on the party pending the determination of that case on Thursday this week. But now, let's look at it this other way around, the aspect of the screening committee set up to screen aspirants. And you did say, while you were speaking not quite long, that there's in which is a jargon of the legal profession. You can't be a judge in your own case. Are you suggesting also that the setting up of the composition of this committee to screen could also tailor in this direction?
With all due respect, the answer is, I want to be laconic and direct to the point. The answer is yes. The truth of the matter is, we all knew the role the comrade governor, the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, played during the emergence of Hope Uzodinma as the Supreme Court governor of Imo State, as we speak. So the truth of the matter is very clear. We all know that he is coming in to play the card as established. But get it clearly. Adams Oshiomhole is the national chairman. And let me make some clarification. Edo State is not saying that the National Working Committee has no right to conduct primaries in Edo State. I just want to clarify that. Now, the constitution of APC is explicit. Who conducts primary is the national body. Who determines the modes of the primary? It must be domesticated. Now, you look at a memo that just came out yesterday.
Well, that case
Somebody
is before the court.
wrote a letter to say, I've transferred secretariat. Is it a unilateral decision?
That case is before the court, so we can leave that out.
Okay, good.
Please.
You look at what happened. Somebody wrote a letter. That one is not in court. We are writing to DSS this, that we have transferred secretariat single-handedly. No discussion, nothing. Let me tell you the truth. The APC constitution is very clear. There are different roles people ought to play. Now you have the neck of the party, who have not even said anything in respect to this, and I believe any moment from now, a neck meeting will be held. So nobody should be allowed to take a unilateral decision. You just wake up from your house, you just say, I've signed a memo because you are the national chairman. Even if you are the national chairman of a party, there are people who makes up the National Working Committee. And the National Working Committee must take directive as well from the National Executive Committee of the party. So the truth of the matter is this. Our people, mostly those of us in Edo, in fact, I come standing that is speaking today. I am part of those who attack this administration. But we know quite well that the only reason why we attack is because, I even said it on the media here, we did all we could to establish this government. This government fails to do it the way it has been done in the past. Instead, this government now channels this benefit to the people alone at the detriment of some of us who did all we could to bring this government to power. That is the only issue that we all are saying that this government has. None of us can boldly come out. Go and look at those who are fighting, who are saying, no one can come out to say he failed in terms of bringing infrastructure, he failed in terms of ensuring that our educational sector becomes standardized, he failed because of this. No, it is all about he did this, instead of this to come to this place, he did not do it like this. The money that is about, it is all about the honorarium. I will not remove myself from it. I will not remove myself from it. But for anybody to come out to say, God, the honorarium has not basically has not performed, why are we not fighting to substitute him? Are we going to remove him from power because he has completed Oshiomhole Power Plan 98%? Are we going to remove him from power because he chooses to build skill acquisition center? I was shocked when I saw some girls wearing an overall. I said, which kind of overall is this? He said, no, I'm learning how to fish generator. A graduate learning how to fish generator? That is to tell you that even if you cannot get employment, a graduate deserves to have empowerment. At the end of the day, the girl said, if I complete my training, I will be fixing Meccano generator. Do you know how much will be given to her if she happens to repair a single Meccano generator?
Okay, what do you see as the way forward in all of this?
It's very simple.
In resolving it.
The only panacea to resolve this issue is this. Let those of us who have appetite, I'm not removing myself, those of us who have appetite in benefiting from public wealth to at least subhead that. And I want to make this open, including you might not be aware. Now, in Edo State, in terms of construction of road under the previous administration, Bayelsa State, a kilometer of road, a waterlogged territory does not construct road more than 150 million per kilometer. River State, a waterlogged area is within the range. Delta State, a waterlogged area is within, but in Edo State, it's about 250 million. The governor called all the contractors. We cannot be tying road with exorbitant price such as this, whereas other waterlogged areas are doing it below. Contractor, I am not going to take contracts from you. You still remain, but please go and reduce it. That was the reduction led to one of these crises. And lastly, the UBE, whenever they want to conduct examination, just to print on paper is 250 million. The government came in 250 million to print on paper. They did the same exam, 30 million naira to print the whole piece of paper. And the exam went successfully. Immediately those who are benefited from say, no, we can just my boy want to destroy it. That is the issue. I am not removing myself. We all know that we fight. Why do you play politics? For two reasons. One, nobody should, this is a message to Edo people. Nobody should deceive you. We play politics for two reasons. One is to better ourselves. The second is to better the people around you. You cannot better everybody.
Okay, so personal interest comes first.
As far as politicians are concerned, it's personal interest,
okay,
including me.
Thank you, Comrade Stanley Osaze, for taking our time to come on this show. I know you have reactions, Adam Saliu, but that will be after this break. Well, it's been on TMI Tuesday, and we are discussing the issue on the EDO GUBER 2020, the party primary perspective. We are extending frontiers of this discussion after this break. Don't you go away.
TMI, every opinion counts.
I've just been joined by Osage Godsent Erunse, who is an educationist, and he is also the executive director of Africa Emancipation Project, and he is also the president of Association for Formidable Educational Development. Big thanks for coming, Osage Godsent.
My pleasure to you. Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers.
I still have the presence of Adam Saliu. Adam Saliu was the former senior assistant on legal matters to Edo State, and he is a constitutional lawyer and notary public. Thanks for still staying with me.
Thank you very much.
Before the break, we had issues about the screening, which some perceived that the composition of the committee, most especially as it's been reported that it will be led by the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodimma, who some perceive as an ally to the comrade Adams Oshomole. Now, do you see that as what should hold water?
Well, Uzodimma is a citizen. Those who are against his chairing the screening committee have not said why he's ineligible, why he's not qualified. The Constitution is clear. To be able to vote, it should be certain age. To be able to contest, to be governor, 35 years, etc. So, if you come to equity, you have to come with clean hands. Those who are speculating, they are prejudicial, presumptive, anticipating the negative position of things. They think Uzodimma will not deliver free and fair screening and his committee. That is speculative and malafide in bad faith. Anybody can be appointed by the party to screen.
Okay, but looking at what is being done now, like what Comrade Stanley Osaze said, let me quote it again, the memo Judaism causes jargon in your legal profession. Don't you see that as really holding sway by the fact that the national chairman of the party seems to have a sway in this direction?
No, the national chairman you are talking about is not a contestant in any position. The case in court was not filed with a name. At worst, it is filed with the National Working Committee, which is what it took by the Constitution. It's not a personal something. And INEC has said it. If you look at INEC position, it is said that it does not deal with individuals. It only deals with the national officers of the party. So, there is no one that will not be regarded in a democracy as having a teeth to the left or to the right. There is no proof whatsoever.
Okay.
They will be surprised when judgment comes. It will come free and fairly. So the INEC should be allowed to do its job as it is put in the third schedule, right from section 15. It should be given free hand to monitor political parties, be involved in the primaries, and use the register and constitution of the party that is submitted.
All right, let's look at the statement credited to the INEC leadership, where it raised an alarm over the elections, political development in Edo State and Ondo, saying that it is going to bring about acrimonious elections. Looking at the political development. Now, Osage Gosen, we've been following this issue up. Basically, we have a challenge with the Edo APC, with which the feud has been on. And don't you say this is certain a template where there could be acrimony in elections? What do you think about that?
Let me quickly say that the acrimony have already started. The trouble have already started. You see, I have always said that we need freedom. We need freedom from these two dominant political parties. You see, let me quickly bring a very clear point home. There's difference between a party that sees white and turn it to black overnight, then the next day it tells you it's black, and a party that sees white and everybody sees it is white, as white, and they tell you no, it's black, irrespective of what you have to say. Now, let me quickly say this. We are already in crisis. The statement, the concern raised by INEC is not out of point, because he's already staring at us at the face, and it's sad that some politicians, like they have always done, have refused to allow us be. Now, let me bring it home. First of all, we are already in battle for primaries. We have not yet gotten to the main election. We are already battling. There's so much crisis. There's so much prediction. Just because people have refused to repent and come out of the era of strong and unreasonable godfatherism.
Okay, so
Now,
do you see all this fight, all this acrimony, as in the projecting the interest of the few over the majority of the people?
that is a rhetorical question. I've said that several times. I'm not a politician not because there's something wrong with politics, because there's something wrong with the quality of people that place politics in this country. We have lost our sense of sanity just because of party affiliation. Now, the picture is clear. That's the reason why I said it's a rhetorical question. You came up and say, this governor has a problem with satisfying leaders. For many months and many years, the public have been asking, what are the issues? When you say the leadership of the party are not satisfied, what do you mean by satisfaction? Okay, because I remember that under the leadership of Comrade Adams Oshiomhole as the governor of the state, he made a statement one time. I think it should be during the campaign. He said, now APC have changed the game. It is no longer an issue of sharing money, it's now an issue of performance. Now, when it comes to the present dispensation, we are yet to see a vivid argument or a logical argument to say how this governor have not performed.
Okay.
Then you are seeing a few political elites coming up and saying we are not happy. Because we are not happy, we must go. Now, let me quickly say this. This is not good for our infant democracy. Because when things happen, we should look at the future effects. Now, my concern in this case is that it's not about taking side. It's about calling a spade a spade. If we allow the few political leaders to have their way, you know what that means? It means that successive governments in this state, like we currently have in Lagos, are continually going to be under bondage. The public are consistently going to be marginalized. The money meant for infrastructure and development will continue to be shared by a selected few. Now we are looking at the future effects, because these so-called people that are putting up a heated argument have not been able to come out clearly to say this is the reason why we keep on hearing the leaders are not satisfied. We have problem with the leaders. What are the basis of this problem?
Okay, now let me ask you, Comrade Adams-Aliyu, do you see this divide of your party where they are saying that they could be having issues with the governor as personal related gains issues?
That's what I'm saying. INEC, the moderator of the election, does not deal with individuals, he deals with political parties. And he almost led us astray to give an analogy between Benin and Lagos. Edo is not Lagos. And no man is God. Nobody should think that Edo is Lagos. Or what happens in Lagos must happen in Edo. It is not.
But again, there's this political pundits argument that all of this is coming because some of the divide are saying that the governor did not really give them an opportunity to share in the common patrimony of the people. What do you think about that?
That is equally assumption. Good or bad, the governor is satisfying some people. And it is the poll that will decide Majority rule.
The governor is satisfying some people.
Let me.
Listen.
Do you mean?
You said some people are complaining that the governor is not satisfying them. All the same, the governor is satisfying some people, and the election will decide. It's as simple. And I don't want to believe that it is because some people are satisfied, others are not satisfied.
Okay, but what do you see as the grounds against the governor by this divide of the party?
There's no personal ground at all. All the members are members of APC. No one has defected to another party. So the governor has not wronged any individual. Neither would they have personal ground against the governor.
But if you say that, that could be fallacious, because
all of this which is in the open. You know, I said
media. I mean, because there are issues and rifts.
It is okay. Then what is at stake? That they want to be primaries. If there is primary, direct, indirect, majority rule will decide. For people to, the government is not on that.
Well, I think the court will decide that the case is already in court, so let's leave that out. Yes, let's leave that out. Yes.
If I may add to that, you see, Barrister Liu, when I started, I give two analogy. The APC is like a party that will see white and tell you it's black, no matter what you have to say. And he's confirming that. Because you are trying to say nobody is against the government, when it is glaring, in the public domain, that there is already a serious tussle for ownership. Who is in charge of the party? Who owns EDO? Now, let me quickly say this. Okay. Let me say that it is important when we analyze issues, we are reasonable. All right? Now, your constitution gives room for direct or indirect primaries. And let me not go into history. Stalin have already done that. You know, but we now have to look at, this is the same government that came out and said there is a pandemic. Okay. Stay at home. Don't walk about. You will die. Hey, if you come out, in fact, human rights were even truncated. This is the same government that have been raising such alarm. Then this is the same government that is saying is direct primary by the national chairman, when it is even so much of a risk to have an indirect primary. Now, let's be logical, because the quality of leaders that we have give room for leadership distrust. Just look at the last election we had. We had the lowest turnout of voters in the history of Nigeria. And there is every tendency that it will even get worse. Because every day, people like me that are the commoners are losing more confidence in the system. Because what we see is politicians that we kill, go whatever extent to promote their personal interest, irrespective of who you are. So one good turn, they say, deserve another. I have come to this platform before and say, Obaseki is unnecessarily, or the government of today is unnecessarily setting up mobile court. There are too much taxation and levies. But we must call a spade a spade. In this matter, the guy has not done anything wrong. What are you going to marginalize him for? For being prudent with the resources of the state? Do you know how indebted we were before this government took over? I never thought that this government would be able to perform at all because of the level of indebtedness. The experts have analyzed Edo State. In fact, we are the third in the whole country. They have given all kind of analysis. There was one analysis I read that said it will take 40 years for us to come out of the debt. No government will be able to perform so much. But this government was able to change that narrative. So what we are saying is this. Why the desperation to say somebody must go? And this is not just about the governor or the government of the day. This is the concern of the commoners. Because we are either going to take our freedom or sell our freedom to the hands of the few. If we allow a few Edolite to have their way because they are not getting their fat share from government as they think or as they planned, then we are going to remain in prison in the next many years to come. Because any government that will take over, should it happen, I said, from this government, is going to continuously dance to the tune of Godfathers. It's sad and it's pitiable to see that this man that became an hero, then I was in school, we saw this man as an hero, the man that was changing the narrative. In fact, he went as far as collecting the cars that were bought for some party leaders. He went as far as making public declarations that some people wanted to share the state resources. This same man is turning about to say, what I want is what must be. It's sad. Okay, so what is the future of democracy?
Let's look at the aspect of the publishing of qualifications of the various aspirants. Now, we have it to know that the APC have already started that. And it's encouraged that other political parties should also do the same in order to avoid issues about litigations of qualifications. What do you see in this drive? Do you see this as a drive towards providing a healthy atmosphere for democracy?
The publication of the CV or so of the aspirants,
Yes.
or the candidates, which I think were published in Abuja yesterday and in also in Benin.
Okay, do you see it as a healthy practice to democracy?
Huh? Very well now. We are told, as I will quote again, by the Supreme Court Judge Olabode Rose Vivo, that candidates are expected to obtain expression of interest form and nomination form, which they have done. They are to present their certificates for verification, which they have done, and they are to appear before a screening committee. This is the justice of the Supreme Court, Bode Rose Vivo, in 2021, delivering judgment that these are the normal processes. So, they don't, if you bring false certificates or so, you'll be disqualified. And to continue, this is the stage at which a domestic or internal affairs of a political party, they are not justiciable, I mean, they are not actionable.
Okay, but if we talk about the body that is seen as legal to disqualify any aspirant based on qualification, educational qualification, do you see that body as the party?
That is required to be
a body that is empowered to either disqualify any aspirant based on not meeting up with the credentials. Do you see that? Do you see that body that it should be coming from the party, or it should be from the court?
I don't know which body. As a practicing lawyer, I'm guided by Supreme Court decision that the court will not dabble into how a member of a party is screened, or why a member of the party is not clear to contest primary election. This is a judgment of the Supreme Court, March 2020, by Justice Olabode Rose.
Okay, but the screening committee will basically look at that aspect, the educational qualification. Okay, but is that not also subject to other wider investigations? Will it be in good faith for a committee to disqualify aspirants based on their judgment without subjecting it to a wider investigation?
Yeah, what I'm saying, it is within the purview of the political party to obtain expression of interest form, nomination form from the party. Present your certificate for verification to the party. Appear before the screening committee by the party.
Okay.
These are all sine qua non and the effect accompanied by the Supreme Court.
Okay, thank you. Senator Gosson, what do you make of that?
Let me quickly say that, of course, there's nothing wrong to let Nigerians know the educational qualification of people that are going to govern us. Sure. You know, for me, it's in order. Okay. But whether it is a party decision or a court decision, that's the issue. Because I don't think that decision lies solemnly on the party. Because this constitution is coming from a constitution, not a party constitution, basically. It is the constitution. Just recently, there was a bill passed that minimum qualification for being a president. Okay, but be that as it may, because there is already a faction, there is already a fight, there is already a presumption that everything done is calculated, is a calculated attempt to make sure somebody is, you know, pushed aside, skewed out for the advantage of another. That's the reason why people have a problem with Uzodinma, for example. Because people believe that he will not be fair in his judgment. You see, like what I said, this political party on board promised us change. The change you promise, you must stand by it. Now, what I mean by that is, what is democracy if it is not about the people? What is democracy if it is not about the concern for the lives of the people? Then I would also like to say this. On the issue of academic qualification, the best place to turn to is the universities. If you think there's a forgery or somebody have problem with any qualification, then go and do your investigations. Okay, that is clear. But the point we are trying to say is that it should not be an attempt to, you know, screw that someone. It should not be an attempt to get to someone, because before you are making a big deal out of qualification, before this governor came, he was screwed. You know, I read a little presentation about it. They were trying to analyze his certificate. Before he came the first time, the same analysis were given. So he's always been there. But the point remains that in the bid to overthrow another faction, we must not start distracting governance, which we have been doing for a couple of years now. And let me quickly correct something. You know, Barrister Ali, you cannot separate what is happening in Benin from what happened in Lagos. They are similar.
Edo is not Lagos.
No, I know Edo. No, Edo is not Lagos. That's the reason why we will not allow a few politicians to dictate the tune. I'm happy you are saying that. Edo is not Lagos, not because there is no similarity to what is happening in Benin, but because we will not allow what happened in Lagos to play out. We will allow fairness.
Okay.
We will allow the people to decide.
Okay.
In the midst of pandemic, I mean, you are advocating for an unreasonable number of crowds to come and elect their leaders. That is quite unreasonable. And yet you have come out severally to tell us this pandemic is deadly. And we have not even gotten to our peak. It's predicted that this month we are going to get to our peak. So what's the problem with indirect primary? If there is no hidden agenda to make sure by all means someone is screwed out. See, the politicians should stop playing game with us, the commoners. Because we went to school. We didn't go to school for nothing.
Okay, but some say that
things.
the signing of the Gazette by the governor and all of this that has to do with the study on the infections getting to its peak on June 28th was done in a bad political faith. You still have the floor, please.
Thank you. Let me quickly say that the governor is only taking advantage of every opportunity he has to win his fight. Like I told you before, I'm not a politician, so I'm going to interpret the issue as it is. PDP don't pay me, APC don't pay me. So he's simply taking an advantage of every opportunity, and he have a very clear stand, whether it is politically motivated or not. In fact, it would be unfair to say there is no political undertone. That would be very unfair. That would be unrealistic. But be that as it may, there is a reality on ground. There is a pandemic. And the lives of the citizens of Edo State is the #1 priority of the governor of the day. So whatever is stand. Of course, the logical stand. That's the point. So whatever step is taken to make sure the life of the people that the governs are protected, are secured, then it's necessary. How can you govern people that are not alive? As dreaded as coronavirus, you are advocating that we put thousands of people in the field or hundreds of people just because you want to overthrow someone? We want to institute the era of godfatherism? No, it's not going to be.
So, he still said it. Now, this aspect of godfatherism has been on. And what do you see as playing out in the factor of the APC towards the primaries? Do you see this godfatherism factor playing out? Adam Zaliu.
I have said earlier that no man is God. And Edo is not Lagos. The governor came out with the Gazette. He's acting intravenous, acting within his power. Can bring out Gazette, can promulgate edicts for the welfare of the people. Pro bono publico, for the good of all. Nobody should fault that at all.
Okay.
So, for us to speculate that we ought not to have brought out the Gazette, or is not thinking of the well-being of Edo citizens, is speculative and prejudicial. So, people in positions, institutions in existence, they should be allowed to do their job. Democracy is there. When it is time to vote, majority of people will decide.
Okay. Thank you. Your final words, Osage Godsend, as we come to a conclusion.
Let me quickly advise the political class to learn the wisdom of compromise. Because at the end of the day, the people are getting more aware, more civilized every day. And on the final note, let me quickly say that the level of distrust that the ordinary Nigeria have in this government is what they have created. They are still in the bid of creating it. So people are having more reasons why they will not want to go out and vote. Because everything is looking like a child's play.
So you are thinking that it could
of course,
bring about the
party. Of course, that's where we are headed for. Because what will be the motivation? I mean, it's only senseless people that will go out on the pandemic and say it's direct from let the crowd be there and go and vote. I wouldn't do that if I was a party man because I love my life.
Well, thank you, Comrade Godsend Erunse, for taking our time to be here, and of course, Adam Zaliu. This is where we call it a wrap on the discussion segment. Next is insurance. Stay with me.